Good morning, everybody. So, for the past 59 episodes, I have sat in this side of the room enjoying this beautiful view to myself while you look at my wall. And here we are for episode 60. It was the advice of someone who has never watched or listened to this podcast, who heard that I was recording a podcast from Bali and was like, oh, wow, so do you showcase Bali in the background? And I just thought to myself, no, but I should. So happy episode 60. Thank you so much for listening. Whether it's your first time joining the podcast, 50th time, 15th time, or you have been here for all 60, I am so grateful and welcoming you to not just my living room, but to Bali here in Ubud. My name is Alyssa, and this is Room for Sunshine. It's so exciting, right? You get to really be one with nature. So this is what I look out at. It's pretty beautiful. It's a really interesting weather season here in Bali where it's supposed to be rainy season. We should have downpouring rain. And we are not getting the water, but we are getting the storms. So it's this like overcast energy right now. And yesterday was the craziest thunder and lightning I maybe have ever seen. You might even get to, it's kind of started back up. It's that time of day. So all that being said, now you're watching nature in live time. If it starts to rain or downpour, you're here with me. So it is one of those weeks that is big for America. Big for Americans, I should say. It's Thanksgiving week. Happy Thanksgiving week. Being in a foreign country is always very difficult, I would say, to some degree when the big holidays come around that I'm used to having celebrated every year repeatedly for my whole life. And for most of the expats that I've spoken to who live in different places, I think everyone kind of gets that little bit of nostalgia of just, there's markers that we have in this life that might bring us back to a sense of family or community or a sense of home, some type of nostalgia. And so this is one of those weeks, but I've become less and less attached really to these specific holiday markers because I've tried integrating a lot of those qualities of community coming together and food and celebration and love and conversations around gratitude in a more regular practice and on a more regular basis, that I don't have to wait every day, 364 days to get to one day that Americans have deemed the Gratitude Day. And Thanksgiving is a holiday that is a problematic holiday, so as many American holidays are. So leaving Thanksgiving off the table, but kind of bringing in what Thanksgiving has become all about, which is gratitude. I want to make this episode a specific outlook on gratitude. And gratitude's really one of those things, everyone talks about gratitude. Gratitude has so many benefits. It opens up the heart. It brings us to a place of love. It helps connect us and build empathy and pull us out of the stories of the mind and into the true vibrations of like what it means to wake up alive today. And I've spoken about gratitude on this podcast. I have a pretty regular gratitude practice, whether it's before I start a yoga class or after I take a yoga class or in the mornings when I'm journaling or with friends or family. I like to just send little grateful for you messages. And it's really impacted me in a meaningful way, to be completely honest. It is so micro. It's such a micro level opening, but it's there. And I think the more we tap into these practices that open the heart, the more we start to notice that expansion bleed out into relationships, into how we handle situations at work. At least for myself, I feel the most open I've ever been. And because of it, I actually feel like I have the strongest boundaries that I've ever had from a place of self-love. And I always find that to be an interesting challenge, is creating boundaries from a place of need versus a place of love, a place of force, I guess, versus love, like coming from a place of anger or frustration as opposed to coming from, I love myself, I love you, and this is what has to happen to honor that love both ways. And here I go, making an episode about gratitude, about boundaries, which it's not. So thanks for going on that tangent with me. But gratitude, going back to gratitude, this week, I am going to challenge you when it comes to gratitude to think of something that you are grateful for that isn't the easy answer. And what I mean by that is, you know, when I ask someone at a yoga class, or I get asked while I'm a student practicing, what are you grateful for? Oftentimes the program in my mind goes towards simple things, right? It goes towards to be alive. It goes towards having a roof over my head, or food, or my family, or my friends. And these are beautiful, right? I don't want to knock any kind of gratitude. To be in a gratitude practice is a beautiful gift. But the challenge for this week is, can you thank something that at one point caused you pain or distress? Can you have gratitude for something that in the moment you probably hated or fought with or didn't even think you could ever have gratitude for? And a huge part of any healing journey is to thank the things in our lives that got us to where we are today, even when they are the same things that broke us down. Because we're trying to get to a point, ideally, where we can look at everything in our life, controlled or uncontrolled, and grow from all of that. All of that life experience led you here, led me here. And the only way to really, in my opinion, and from my own experience, utilize that for transformation is to not just acknowledge it, but also to thank it. And so in the name of Thanksgiving and holidays and what I was talking about at the beginning of the episode, you know, for me, something really personal is, it's really hard for me, and I'm gonna get it, like, gratitude for me, it goes straight in. So bear with me being open with all of you here. Gratitude is tough when it's something that is so real and personal that you wear as a scar. And thinking about Thanksgiving, I had a family tradition every year where we had a group of 6 families or so that would come together at my house, and I can feel it, you know? I can close my eyes and bring myself right back to that moment that at least a decade, if not more, of my life was dedicated towards. And for so many different reasons, I no longer have that. I haven't had that experience, and I'm not sure that I ever will have that experience in that way again, for, you know, where life was then and where life is now, and family separations and friendship separations and life, right? The nature of life is that it's impermanent. It's always changing. And so as I sit here in Bali on Thanksgiving, where not only am I physically far from that circumstance that I used to have with 6 families, playing guitar and singing and eating home-cooked foods and being in charge of pie every year and knowing what my responsibility was, and just that feeling of family sitting around a table with candles lit and wine that I won't get back. I can simultaneously be in the sadness that thing is gone, and also have just immense gratitude that it's something I had in the first place. And for a while, I was really, really angry that it had gotten taken away from me without what felt like my permission. Something happens and the whole house of cards falls down, and I was robbed of being able to have that again. However, if I hadn't been robbed of that, I probably wouldn't have come to Bali and done a yoga teacher certification, and I definitely wouldn't have become a yoga teacher at my dream studio, and I probably wouldn't be here with this podcast right now. So all of those things, for some reason, somehow, some way, led me here. And despite grief and pain and sadness and all the loss that goes along with something difficult, there is also so much beauty and so much potential and so much opening. And so I encourage and challenge you to think about something that you don't have right now, whether or not Thanksgiving is something you celebrate. Someone in Europe is like, I do not want to be a part of the Thanksgiving episode. That is okay. Ignore the Thanksgiving part of this. Focus on the gratitude. That is the root of what we're talking about today is, can you spend some time being grateful for something that is painful? And then if there's something that you can do in relation to that, someone you can message or something you can journal about or reflect on or forgive or even fix, that is the transformation. That is the growth from what was, where we are now, and where we can be. And I am also incredibly grateful for all of you who are listening. So that never caused me any pain, but I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you. And if you're enjoying Room for Sunshine, please send this episode to 1, 2, maybe even 3 people. Give us 5 stars if you're listening and enjoying. And you can now follow on Substack, Room for Sunshine. We're on Substack. All of these episodes will also be out on Substack, as well as daily reminders and tips. Or you can follow on Instagram at Room for Sunshine. Thank you so much for listening. And from my Bali home to you, wherever you are in the world, wishing you an amazing Monday and start to your week. And I'll see you next time. Happy Thanksgiving.